the industrialized murder industry that was created, this is another thing that Vrba is so good on. Anytime he spoke, he always emphasized the extent to which the Holocaust was about theft, and that the amount of money that and lands that were appropriated, because he worked in, and of course, the place where all the stolen goods was, the place where all the stolen goods were housed in the warehouse was called Canada, because Canada was perceived by everybody in Europe as being this land of plenty. So all these stolen goods, the compound was called Canada. Anyway, Rudy was very good about seeing that the Holocaust wasn't just about the elimination of Jews. It was a mass mobilization of confiscation of properties and to embolden the war machine. The Holocaust did include more than Jews, and that's important. I'm not an expert on Israel, but I do have become friends with a woman named Ruth Linn, who is the major authority on Rudy Vrba. Okay. And Ruth Linn didn't cooperate with the guy Friedland, who just did this book on Rudy. Ruth Linn has educated me. So my minimalistic knowledge of Israel, which I did go and visit, but I'm not an expert in Israel at all. But one of the reasons that learning about Rudy is so important is because Rudy was persona non grata in Israel. The guy who blew the whistle on the Holocaust and saved, he and Wexler are credited now with saving 200,000 Jewish lives. Nobody comes near to that. Wallenberg was just one of many diplomats who was saving people, but none of those people have been credited with saving 200,000 mostly Jewish lives. Vrba and Wexler are at the top of the pops in terms of all the saviors. So you would think this person would be a hero in Israel, would you not? But of course, so when the report was made, and they said, great, we'll send this to the Allies, and the Allies will jump in and stop the killing. And don't worry, we're sending it to the Pope, and don't worry, and FDR is going to get it, and all this. So they go away, and actually they had a good time working for a brewery at the time. So after 2 years in Auschwitz, you probably drink a lot and have a little. But by the time they realized that the word of the report was not getting out, and when their two friends, Mordowitz and Rosen, also escaped and met up with them, these four guys, Rosen and Mordowitz were able to tell Vrba and Wexler, in fact, no, the shipments of the Hungarian Jews are coming in. We were there. It's there. And so they realized that the authorities did not get the word out to the foreign powers about what's in their report. Well, the report got out there, but no one was doing anything with it. They go, what? And it was but the report was given to a man named Rudolf Kastner, who is the most influential Jewish leader in Hungary. So how could that be that they got their report to Kastner right away, and he went back to Hungary, and nobody was telling the Jews not to get on the train? What's going on here? Basically, Kastner made a deal with Eichmann to get approximately less than 2,000 Jews that he knew, some of whom had money and paid. Kastner was negotiating with Eichmann. They were playing a little chess game, and Eichmann was dangling, oh, I might give you money. Maybe I'll give you that train. And every day that Eichmann could delay the negotiations with Kastner, more Hungarian Jews were killed. So Kastner is a very controversial subject in Israeli history. And so Rudy, for the rest of his life, was outspoken against the failure of Jewish and Zionist leaders to save Hungarian Jews. And eventually they did get it halted. So for a little while, and they start up again. But basically, his contention was that if the Hungarian Jews had been told not to get on the trains, it could have been a different story. Because the actual number of Nazi troops in Hungary orchestrating the trains was not very many. It was actually quite small. But because he identified and was willing to speak about the failure of Jewish leaders to adequately inform their fellow Jews about what was happening in the Holocaust, not just in Hungary, but also back in Slovakia, where he came from, he was outspoken about it. And do you think the leaders of Israel want people to know that a large segment of the Jewish leadership were saving their neck instead of saving their brothers? Looks like it. Oh, we don't know the shape I'm in. It's a song by the band. Anyway, so this was what Rudy was very outspoken about. And of course, he was persona non grata. When he went to Israel, he was there for only a couple of years and left. So there was a huge schism that not only, so Rudy Vrba has not been celebrated by Yad Vashem properly. And it's Ruth Linn who has written a book about this to explain why Rudy Vrba isn't famous. People in Israel, can you imagine you're Rudy Vrba and you go to live in Israel and you've saved 200,000 Jews and nobody knows your name. So what does that do to your mind? So you know what he says? You know what? I'm out of here. So where does he end up living? Vancouver, British Columbia.